What is interesting about the VRU lab is its focus on the interaction between pedestrian, biker, and car driver.
This interaction needs to be analysed, which is the purpose of the lab.
How does driver communication take place with pedestrians or bikers? And how can it function without a human driver in the car?
Such traffic situations are incredibly complex, and representing this complexity is the challenge that we are now taking on.
VRU stands for Vulnerable Road Users, people especially exposed to traffic risks.
Much has been accomplished to make car drivers safer, but this is not the case to the same extent for pedestrians or bikers.
The VRU lab shifts the focus to the interaction between pedestrians, bikers and car drivers.
That is when it comes to misunderstanding and misinterpretation of gestures or behaviour. Situations like this can sometimes become problematic.
If anything happens, then it usually turns out to be critical. That makes analysing it difficult.
Real-life trials with human test subjects can be quite dangerous. Nobody wants to take that kind of risk. So a search began for an alternative.
If you cannot safely duplicate a real situation, you can simulate it.
In this simulation, we now can interactively involve not only drivers, but bikers and pedestrians.
We now have the possibility to work with 3 independently functioning and acting simulators, and then to connect them, which enables us to introduce an interaction.
We are at a busy intersection. At one location, a pedestrian, a biker and a driver want to cross it. How will this situation be handled if an additional distraction happens to crop up?
Distractions are common in road traffic, which leads to misunderstandings, and often enough, to critical situations.
A pedestrian is underway, navigating with the help of a cell phone.
With this new pedestrian simulator, we can also run scenarios for situations with full freedom of movement, such as on public squares, along streets or extended routes.
In front of her, a driver makes a left turn and stops just before the crossing. The biker has the right of way and is the first to cross.
Each person evaluates a situation or risk differently. That makes it all the more important for us to collect as much data as possible to be able to represent the whole spectrum of behaviour.
The pedestrian who is about to cross gets an incoming call on her cell phone and stands still. The driver is uncertain and waits for a sign from her. She waves to give him the right of way. He signals understanding and drives. When the intersection is free, she also crosses the street. Realistic behaviour of vulnerable road users can thus be investigated in the safe framework of a simulation. This will also be useful for communication with the autonomous autonomous vehicles of the future.
Man muss damit rechnen, dass man später
It has to be assumed that in the future there will no longer be an active driver in an autonomously moving vehicle, and therefore nobody to interact with.
einem interagieren kann.
Und so kann diese Forschung dazu dienen,
This research takes the people into account who will be dealing with automated road vehicles.
Fahrzeugen interagieren kann.
You cannot test all of this in reality, nor in isolation. Interaction is what has to be researched. This is the purpose of this lab.